Is this thing on? What's the deal with airline dog food? Hi, it's been a minute. How are ya? So to introduce the topic of today's video, first and foremost, I just need to play you with TikTok, like normal.
I'm gonna say this once and I'm gonna say this very loudly. General rule of thumb, if there is a pattern, it's not the external, it's you. If there's a pattern in your life, it's you. Do with that what you will.
Now, this idea is linked to an actual philosophy concept called the law of attraction. If you don't know what the law of attraction is, it basically states that any kind of thoughts or vibes or actions that you put into the world, that's the same quality of actions, thoughts, and vibes that you'll receive back. And, you know, there is a grain of truth to that. If you do a lot of positive things for people, they will do positive things for you, and overall, everybody will feel great. Everybody's having a good time. But, as I'm sure you're well aware, mental health is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. And I can tell you from personal experience, internalizing any kind of self-help from the internet can be a really fucking dangerous idea. Also, hi, do you guys like the new microphone? I got a microphone. It just, I don't know, it feels more natural when I'm talking to the camera. Natural. Let me know if you guys like the vibe. The reason that this can be so dangerous is if, for example, you suffer some form of abuse, you'll internalize it and believe, oh, it's my fault. I keep attracting these kinds of people. And I've got a lot of experience with that feeling. I mean, it's why I've been gone for like 1 month, 2 months. I don't know when this video is coming out. But yeah, it's been something that I've been learning to deprogram from my mind. Before we get like too lost in the sauce, I kind of want to just outline this video real quick. First off, disclaimer about my mental health. When I was around like 13, 14, I got diagnosed with essentially growing up wrong. Yeah, no, nothing was really very helpful to me when I was a teenager in terms of my mental health. But once I finally moved out, you know, finally started seeing a doctor again, getting hormones, meds, all that. My doctor says that I have a lot of symptoms that line up with OCD, which, yeah, that would explain a fucking lot. But I feel like it's important to note right now because I haven't been officially diagnosed with it. But to simplify some of the language that I used throughout the video, I'm not gonna say over and over again, what I think is OCD, I'm just gonna say my OCD. Just for simplicity's sake. Just keep in mind the diagnosis hasn't happened yet. And I kind of wanted to cover this philosophy through several different angles within the self-help industry. I've picked out a couple of TikTok creators, and I actually, believe it or not, read a book for this that I think really encapsulates the entire spectrum of this issue. So when I was originally researching for this video, this doctor caught my eye, Dr. Amen, pretty quickly, as he has a video that outlines how to break a panic attack in 4 easy steps. Doctors hate him. And you know, seeing that OCD is an anxiety disorder, this could be very helpful for me. Let's check it out.
So I always say 4 steps to break a panic attack. Don't leave. If you're in a situation and you start having a panic attack, don't leave unless it's dangerous. Because if you leave, panic will now control you.
Oh my god. Already we're having a rough one. Okay, so, first step is to not remove yourself from the situation that's making you anxious. Huh? Keep forgetting I have a microphone in my hand. Like, one of my main sensory issues is with sound. I have a lot of auditory hallucinations. I get very overwhelmed by small, repetitive noises very easily. So let's say I was in a very busy, loud place, like, I don't know, a mall? Do people fucking go to malls anymore? I don't know. Let's say I'm in a mall, and I can hear people yelling, kids crying. I can hear, like, someone eating, coughing, that kind of thing. Not removing myself from that situation is the opposite of conducive to my mental health. If I don't remove myself from the stimuli that is triggering me, is triggering a panic attack, how the fuck do you expect me to, like, calm down at all? It's like this weird kind of power thing where you need control over your mind, when in reality, you're supposed to, like, work in conjunction with your mind because you're one and the same being. The analogy that I have is, it's not like you're Wesley from The Princess Bride where you're drinking a small amount of poison for years to build up an immunity. That's just not how anxiety works. It can strike you at any time and pretty damn unexpectedly. You are not giving up control by doing what you need to do to calm yourself down. Okay, well, we still got 3 steps to go. Maybe there'll be some nugget of wisdom in here.
Breathe. And take twice as long to breathe out as you breathe in. So I like the 15-second breath. 4 seconds in, it's a big breath. Hold it for 1.5 seconds. 8 seconds out.
Breathing, okay, that's a good step. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for me because one of my trigger sounds is breathing. But, you know, if it works for you, if a breathing exercise calms you down, get right to it. It's basic, but solid advice.
And then write down what you're thinking. She won't want me.
Yeah.
And then correct it. I call those ants, automatic negative thoughts. They attack you. They link to other ants. Then they stack and then they attack you.
Okay, so we are immediately assuming that we have stopped panicking at all. This isn't step 3 of breaking the panic attack. This is just like a recommendation of an exercise you can do after the panic attack. Because, like, if I'm just coming down from a panic attack, I'm fucking exhausted. I don't have the energy to write down the thing that was making me anxious because, let's face it, I definitely know what was making me anxious. I was having the panic attack.
And then theanine or magnesium or GABA, not Xanax. Because if you take Xanax, it's going to change your brain to need it, and all of a sudden you have another problem.
Yes.
So.
And then we get to the heart of the advice that Dr. Amen seems to give. He recommends you try theanine or magnesium or GABA, which are all supplements, and wonder where I can get some of those. And then he's against the actual medication that does get prescribed for anxiety. There's this really weird sentiment that I found with this TikTok account that's very anti-medication and thinks, oh, you can do it more naturally with supplements and exercises. And yes, while you do need those things to have a healthy brain, sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes you do need that like extra boost of a medication. The risk of like developing a dependency is such a huge fear and stigma already. And the way this doctor talks about it, I really think that he reinforces that stigma and fear. That stigma is really evident in his video about Prozac.
So, Prozac, I have prescribed it.
I would assume so. You're a doctor.
A lot over the years, not much lately, but for some people, for the right brain, people who have over-focused issues, worried, rigid, and flexible if things don't go their way.
Oh, that's me! That's me! Mom, I'm on TV!
It can be so helpful. I almost think of it like grease for a gear shifter that tends to get stuck, the gear shifter in your brain.
I need you to just take a note that he used an analogy to describe what it does instead of actually describing what it does. I will expand on that just a little bit later, but just keep that in mind for now.
The reason I don't prescribe it much anymore, it lasts in the body a long time. And if you have side effects, and a lot of people have side effects from it, it just takes longer to get out. I think there are better options today.
Okay, that's fair. If you're really suffering with the side effects of Prozac, another option might be better for you. What's another option that I can take, Dr. Amen? So it doesn't recommend a alternative or anything, just kind of fear-mongers about Prozac, which is like one of the medications that's been seen to be the most effective for people with OCD. And yeah, that was just overall a really unscientific and unsatisfactory explanation of the way Prozac works. A common theme with his videos is that they lack a lot of detail. They sound scientific on the surface. He wears a lab coat. There's just not enough, like, evidence in the words that he's saying for it to really mean much. Now, I feel like we don't quite have a grasp on why someone would... I'm sure... I don't know why I'm playing it up. I'm sure you can fucking guess, but let me have my moment, okay? So... he's sort of anti-medication and thinks that there are many other options that are just better for your brain. Let's see if we can get a little bit more evidence as to why he thinks this way with his video about your brain on coffee versus ATP and paraxanthine. Paraxanthine? I don't fucking know. I'm not a doctor. This guy's a doctor.
So how about coffee, which has caffeine and erratic energy, and it also makes you pee and makes you anxious and have trouble going to sleep, versus peak energy with ATP, which is the molecule of energy, and paraxanthine, a caffeine metabolite that doesn't make you anxious, doesn't make you pee, and doesn't impact your sleep. I have found it to be consistent positive energy over time. Love peak energy.
Where can I get peak energy? Where? I've been looking all over for it. Damn, if only I knew where I could get my hands on some ATP and paraxanthine peak energy from Brain MD, Dr. Amen. If only there was a website dedicated to that purpose. Oh, holy shit, you guys, this is a fucking miracle. I found a website that sells the things he was talking about. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that fucking crazy? So yeah, if you go from this TikTok account, you go to their website, they have an entire shop stocked full of various supplements for any kind of thing you want to do with your brain. And so, for fun, I thought, hey, I'm gonna pick one that sounds a little bit fishy, and I'll pick apart the ingredients. So the one that I found to be pretty egregious is this brain and memory power boost for $62.95. It brags about boosting your short-term and long-term memory. It makes you focus more. It basically defends against early onset dementia. Fortunately, they do list all of the ingredients on their website. So I was able to Google all of them with WebMD to find out what do they actually do to your body? Do they really help your mind? The first ingredient that they list is phosphatidylserine. I'm gonna fuck up all of the pronunciations of these names. Fuck you, I don't owe you an explanation. Where they brag it's shown in clinical studies to support memory, attention, and cognitive function. And if we scroll down a little bit, it says that phosphatidylserine, P-word. According to the website, it's a universal building block for cell membranes. It's a phospholipid nutrient that's present in all cells, and you need it to have more neurons firing in your brain because it conducts electricity really well. PS helps to improve attention and the ability to cope with stress. It's the best documented nutrient for the recall of words, names, faces, and events in people over 50. But if we look up the same ingredient on WebMD, we kind of get a bit of a different story. Under the uses and effectiveness panel of the website, they say that it's possibly effective for a decline in your memory. There was a study that took PS that was made from cow brain by mouth, which did seem to improve a lot of attention and language and memory skills in especially aging folks. The website also notes that most supplements now are made with soy or cabbage to get that same phospholipid, and it's relatively unstudied to see if it has the same effects. So immediately we're like, okay, the effectiveness of this is questionable. It's definitely cheaper to get this from soy or cabbage rather than harvesting a cow brain every time you want it. But there is some research that suggests that it could help you with your memory. So we got one so-so ingredient in there. The next one we got is ginkgo biloba extract, which they claim promotes healthy blood flow to the brain, supports your memory, and enhances your attention span. However, according to this article on WebMD about brain supplements, they said modern research has found that ginkgo supplements probably won't protect your memory. Although some studies have suggested there might be benefits, the most well-designed trials, notably the Ginkgo Evaluation Memory Study that had 3,000 older adults as the test subjects, it didn't prevent or slow dementia in any way, shape, or form. So next up we got acetyl L-carnitine. This is a really boring section, isn't it? But I need you to stick with me for a second. I need to prove that this is bullshit, which according to their website supports mitochondrial energy in brain cells, and it boosts your memory and clarity. But if we go to WebMD, this ingredient it gets a check mark. It has been proved to be effective in some older adults to slow dementia, but it does make sure it uses the word might. So again, take all of this with a grain of salt. There needs to be a lot more conclusive research on this kind of thing before they can definitively say, oh yeah, this is fantastic for your brain. Alpha lipoic acid. Dude, you're telling me there's alpha acid in my brain? Fuck yeah. If we refer to WebMD once again, there is nothing listed on the effectiveness for dementia. It does say that it's ineffective for people with dementia that also have HIV or AIDS. We've got 2 ingredients that are helpful, 1 that is dubious, and 2 that are not. This is a better ratio than I thought, to be honest. I thought all of them would be a bit bullshit, but it's a bit disingenuous to list any of these ingredients as super effective when advertising something that's supposed to help people with dementia. If you are advertising supplements to anybody afflicted with mental illness, you need to be super fucking careful about like how you advertise it. And this website is so irresponsible with that because they have like supplements for every condition that is under the sun. We got Calm My Brain, omega-3 power, focus and energy, serotonin mood support, put me to sleep natural chewables. It's just melatonin gummies that are $40 goddamn dollars. But I feel like the most egregious example of a supplement on this website is their weight loss stuff. That's the most irresponsible part of all of this to me. Yes, they sell a supplement that's called Balance My Blood Sugar, which is supposed to regulate your blood sugar and manage your weight. And selling a weight loss pill on a website that mentally ill people are more likely to visit? What the fuck do you want me to say? That's one of the most evil things in the world. But they don't just target fat people. Would you believe they target women's insecurities as well? This is kind of a 2-parter that leads into this, but we need to watch him talk about creatine for us to really get invested in how this TikTok account views women.
So what's the number one misconception about creatine? It's just for your muscles. New studies show it helps with cognitive function. It also significantly helps with mood.
Source, please? Are you gonna like throw a screenshot up on the screen or something? I don't know, just like literally anything. Because I know most people aren't gonna go to the trouble of going to your website and researching every single ingredient. I'm a fucking weirdo making a YouTube video.
Brand new study where they gave people who are depressed cognitive behavior therapy, learning how to think right.
Oh my god, that's fucking rich. The psychiatrist just called cognitive behavioral therapy learning how to think right. Oh, that's so fucking like dehumanizing to literally anybody with a neurodivergent brain. There is no right way of thinking. That's just ridiculous. Cognitive behavioral therapy is like learning to overcome the issues that arise with your patterns of thinking, sure, but it's not as simple as learning how to think right. That's just such a gross way of saying that.
Where they gave people who are depressed cognitive behavior therapy, learning how to think right, and placebo versus cognitive behavior therapy and creatine. And creatine just beat the socks off of the placebo. So not only does it help make you strong, it also helps your mind strong and your mood better.
Okay, so like, what does it do? Does it make you happier? Are you smarter? Do you have like more memory? Do you have more of an attention span? There's just so many specifics that he chose not to delve into. And there's even more specifics that he chooses not to delve into with this next video about creatine, which is now specifically targeted at women who are scared of taking it.
Women are afraid of taking creatine because they think it's going to make them look bulky. And I've never noticed that. I actually just I feel sharper and I feel stronger when I take creatine. And I used to take it strictly for the workout benefits. I didn't know that it had cognitive benefits.
Okay, so first off, we've got this woman who is trying to dispel any fear that someone may have of taking creatine and looking a bit too bulky and masculine by being like, oh yeah, I was on that shit. I'm totally fine. Both of these videos are an advertisement for the creatine they sell on their store. It is, again, wildly irresponsible to market products like this to people that are mentally ill. And just analyzing this TikTok account from that last TikTok, but especially the next one, women are just another demographic to be marketed to. We've got this next TikTok about women, which is called "We Are in a Generation of Tired Women, and Here's Why." Can't wait to hear a man explain to me why women are tired. Why would anybody be tired in this capitalist hellscape? I love it here.
Tired. And people don't talk about this, but we're now in our third generation of tired women.
Sorry, only number 3? Women have only been tired for like 50 years? Excuse me?
Because they're working outside the house more than ever before, right? Not like when I was growing up, where, maybe a half a day a week, my mom had a job. It's like 90% of the time in California, moms are working full time out of the house. And so if you think of primary caretakers for children, women are primary caretakers for the house, and now they're working full time. They're chronically tired.
The way it's phrased really implies that women were happier before they started working, when in reality, like, the right to work is something that women when in reality, the right to work is something that women fought extremely hard for. And he's acting like women of the past had a lot more rest, which, surprise, surprise, they fucking didn't. You know how many drugs old housewives did? Enough to make you a little bit concerned. Not to mention, a lot of women, had to care for the home because, like, they literally couldn't get a bank account or a job or any kind of financial independence. This is not just like a mental, oh, these women are tired because they're working so much. No, they've always been tired because women are an oppressed class in society.
Yeah.
And they chronically feel guilty that they can't do everything. And
you get to that sandwich generation and you're taking care of children and you're taking care of parents and you're taking care of...
Yes, you know about that, right? We both know about that.
The way Eamon kind of swoops in to mansplain that is... The way that he jumped into that conversation felt wild and is very telling about his character to me.
And so if you get overloaded just because of all the things that you have to do. And so if you're drinking at night to settle your brain down and then caffeinating in the morning, eating food on the run, which is generally ultra processed food, well, no wonder.
And then the video ends with these general reasons that someone's mental health might not be doing well. But of course, it does nothing to address the material conditions that necessitate things like alcohol and caffeine and fast food, which is that everybody's working so fucking much that it's literally unbearable to the human mind. And capitalism is evil, and man, those billionaire necks are looking real tasty. But who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe just because I'm a woman, I'm getting really emotional about this. What do you have to say about that, Dr. Amen? And also, can you relate that back to statistics about divorce?
Most people know of the people who file for divorce, 75% are women.
Because we tolerate, done.
But it's also because you have greater access to the right side of your brain. So the right side of the brain is the part of the brain that recognizes trouble.
And we immediately jump into phrenology. The way that, like, really racist old people would study the brain as, like, a way to supposedly determine your character and your mental ability. It's a fucking pseudoscience. I don't know if I can trust this guy, so I need to find another guy that I can trust with this kind of scientific research. I know the man, Hank Green.
I'm a science YouTuber, and I just want you to put it up my butt.
You can have constipation so bad that you
vomit up your own shit. You don't have to go to Zoom calls when you get cancer right away, so try that out. You have to do 9/11 to kill Voldemort.
According to the SciShow Psych video called Are There Male and Female Brains? The basic synopsis that Hank Green gives us is, yeah, while there may be some biological differences in like certain parts of the brain being bigger or thicker, it works a lot like people's heights. Women are generally shorter than men, but that doesn't like discount the fact that tall women exist. Just like how, you know, even if certain aspects of the brain are more enhanced for women, that doesn't mean that emotional men don't exist. And it doesn't mean that unemotional women don't exist.
Left side of the brain is a bit in denial, and it's the happier side of the brain.
You're kidding.
I really fucking hope he is.
Gender differences. I know you're not supposed to talk about that these days, but know the truth. The truth will set you free. Male brains are different than female brains.
Oh, and there we go. That's our... You hear that? That's our anti-woke alarm. It's just like very coded in that kind of, you can't talk about anything these days without people getting offended. My brother in Christ, you are literally talking about phrenology, a pseudoscience. Yes, male brains are different than female brains, but that doesn't correlate to their personalities being different across the entire fucking board. And to round things out, yes, this man does think that we are in a low testosterone epidemic.
This epidemic of low testosterone in men and women, I think it's because of our unhealthy lifestyles. As your weight goes up, belly fat actually turns healthy testosterone into unhealthy, cancer-promoting forms of estrogen.
Well, fuck me, I guess. Shit, I've been swallowing cancer pills every single day for the last 6 months. Fuck. So yeah, I tried to research literally anything about fat turning your testosterone into estrogen that causes cancer. The only results that I got were like, hey, what's the links between obesity and prostate cancer? Some testosterone does turn into estrogen in your body, but like that's natural for every single body. You always have a certain amount of estrogen in your body. And yes, some people do suffer with low testosterone, but the word epidemic is really fucking strong, especially when we recently had an actual pandemic. It's not like you're gonna die immediately from like low testosterone. It's just you might have some sexual dysfunction. Your hair might grow in like weird ways, or not at all. It's just so not based in anything. Again, saying that your testosterone gets converted by your fat into cancer-making estrogen, that's just fucking crazy.
Add that to all of the toxic products we put on our body, and that's a prescription for low testosterone. Very important to measure it. And the first thing to do is not take testosterone. The first thing to do is get your body healthy. There are actually a number of studies on ashwagandha showing that it can help testosterone levels.
And overall, this is just such an irresponsible use of the credentials that he has. It really exemplifies all of my problems with the self-help industry really well. We've got the narrative going that it's not okay to take medication. We've got the narrative going that you are the one that should be in control of your brain. There are no external factors that should be in control of it. Everything is based upon you. And if that wasn't enough pseudoscience for you, it quickly devolves into incel shit. Like, this could definitely send somebody down a very dangerous pipeline in terms of the online content that they watch. At the end of the day, he wants your brain to run off of supplements and vibes because those are the things that he can most easily sell to you. This guy has multiple clinics. He brags about how many celebrity brains that he's scanned. He has supplements, he has a podcast, he has books. It's just so many things that are specifically designed to make as much money as possible, to the point where I don't believe that he has the average person's best interests at heart. Because if he did, he wouldn't literally introduce phrenology in one of his videos. So to put a cherry on top of this whole thing, make it come thematically full circle, let's look at this video where he describes how to break a negative thought, which could be helpful for someone who's suffering from OCD, which can involve a lot of particularly violent, intrusive thoughts.
You have to learn to manage your thoughts. Thoughts create feelings. Feelings create behaviors. Your behaviors create the outcome for your life. So getting your thoughts honest, accurate, helpful, so important.
A intrusive thought that I've been having a lot recently is someone taking a weed whacker to the back of my head. I know, terrible, but because I'm actively thinking about it right now and it's kind of freaking me out, we're just gonna go through this and see what happens.
So it's basically 5 questions. Is it true? I'm not good enough. And she said no. Is it absolutely true? With 100% certainty? And she said no.
That would be correct. No, there is no weed whacker being taken to the back of my skull right now, but I can very clearly visualize it, and I've got this tingling feeling on the back of my neck. So that's pretty cool.
But how does the thought make you feel? Sad, not worthy, less than, not loved. It makes you feel awful.
Let's see. It makes me feel scared. It makes me feel unsettled, I'll be real. It makes me feel unsettled to think about this kind of thing.
How does it make you act? Crazy, emotional, crying, acting out.
This is where it kind of falls apart with intrusive thoughts, because it doesn't necessarily affect my actions per se, unless I have like a weird routine that I develop with this thought that I have. So far, I haven't really had a routine develop for this particular intrusive thought. It doesn't really particularly make you act on anything. You're just thinking about it a lot.
4th question. How would you feel without the thought? If you didn't have the thought, if you couldn't have the thought? Superwoman, love that. How would you act? Calmer, more confident. What would be the outcome? I'd be happier.
One of the symptoms of OCD is literally that you can't get rid of the intrusive thought. You cannot control which thoughts pop into your brain. I constantly think about the most horrifying shit imaginable. And so no amount of like mental health exercises or like 5 questions to ask myself is gonna stop these gory images from replaying in my mind over and over again. I tried finding another video because I originally thought that maybe my examples weren't specific enough to OCD and that he was more talking about other forms of like self-doubt you may have. But no, he literally responded with the same steps to somebody who asked, how do I deal with intrusive thoughts that make me feel disgusting?
The work of Byron Katie. When I read her book, Loving What Is, transformed my life. She does the most elegant form of cognitive therapy, which is whenever you're sad or mad, write down what you're thinking and then ask yourself 5 simple questions. Is it true? Can I absolutely know if it's true? How do I feel when I believe that thought? Who would I be without the thought? And then take the original thought and turn it to the opposite.
Well, no, that's the thing, though. It's not about believing every single thing that you think. I don't believe that I'm gonna get a weed whacker to the back of my head anytime soon. The thought is still there. The image is still, like, seared into my head.
We're published by the same imprint at Random House, and so my editor introduced me to her, and we became friends. I even scanned her. And before she had her epiphany, don't have to believe every stupid thing you think, she was a mess. And her scan actually was not very healthy, but she was one of the most happy, peaceful people I knew because she didn't believe every stupid thing she thought.
That's a complete misunderstanding of what an intrusive thought is. It's not about whether it's true or not. It's the fact that it's there, and it's scary that it's there. No amount of willpower is going to change my brain in a way where suddenly I can control myself and think more positively. It's just something shitty that happens to you sometimes. And you just deal with it as best you can by like venting about it and talking about it with someone. Overall, just not a very helpful guide for stopping an intrusive thought, because that's not something that you can really do. And so if you internalize this advice, it can be really dangerous because, as I found out, trying to control your thoughts in any way, shape, or form is just always fruitless. No matter how hard you try, you are going to have a negative thought. So just creating a more like positive outlook on life It's not going to stop the thoughts from coming. I don't know why I put that in quotes. That's like it's still a helpful thing to do, having a positive outlook on life. But it's just not something that's very applicable to people with OCD and have intrusive thoughts. And you know what? I'm getting sick of lab coats and doctor's offices. We need to go right back to the source of dopamine. By that, of course, I mean masturbation.
One of the best ways to deal with anxiety is to just rub this worry stone. Seriously, give it a good long rub and it works every time. Relieves stress, anxiety. It's probably good for your skin even.
My best friend just told me that she can't go to sleep because she has anxiety, so I told her that she should. He was like, "Are you joking? Did you just tell me to?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm giving you advice.
Okay, yeah, so this is like a little side thing before we move on to the next TikToker that I wanted to TikTok about. When I was searching like self-help on TikTok, one of the most frequent like answers that I got to like help with anything was just masturbation. It was kind of incredible. And it's just like, you know what? They're not entirely wrong. Let's give it a shot. So, that didn't work. Now I reek of anxiety and shame. Welcome to part 2. We are recording in this absolutely gorgeous forest. By the way, all of the worlds that I use in this video are going to be linked down below if you wanted to visit them yourself. And we are here today because we're going to talk about a more natural approach to mental health support. You see what I did there? You see what ain't I good at this thematic shit? When searching for some more natural remedies to anxiety, I found a TikTok by the user Star Jessie Taylor, which is apparently supposed to be our last anxiety video that we will ever need to watch. Fingers crossed that's the case. Now, before we start, obviously I've pre-watched all of this before making a video about it, but if I had to use 2 words to describe the quality of Star's content, I would say it's arduous and circular. So therefore, this video is about 5 minutes long, and you'll see why that is a bit of a problem in a bit. So let's just, rip the band-aid off, get right into it.
Let this be the last video you watch about anxiety. Society has brainwashed you to believe that when you have anxiety, people come up to you and be like, oh, okay, you have a problem. We need to fix this. This is a big problem that you have anxiety. And this is the worst thing people can do, because you making anxiety wrong is actually what creates more anxiety.
He's got a bit of a point there. If you try to limit your own emotions, it's always gonna fail no matter what. No matter what you try to suppress, it will always try to come back in full force. So it's not exactly healthy to call any emotions like wrong or like immoral to have. Being emotionally supportive to yourself in that sense can be really helpful for your mental health journey. But why is that the case in the first place, Star?
The reason for that is that the brain is like an algorithm and it watches what you're doing with your focus.
Dude, 30 seconds and we're already totally off the fucking rails. To me, this is a very revealing line about where his priorities lie, because the brain isn't like some third omniscient entity that oversees everything you're doing. No, your brain is working in conjunction with yourself to keep yourself alive.
The language of the brain is behavior. It cares about what you're doing with your focus inside and outside of your head. The brain is like, oh, you love fixing anxiety? Because that seems like your favorite hobby, because every time I'm giving you anxiety, you love engaging with it and you love to fix it. I think the behavior that you're doing is what you love doing. So if you fix anxiety constantly, you must love fixing anxiety. And I want to support you in that by giving you more excessive anxiety.
The brain, if we're just like talking about it as an organ, doesn't give a single shit about what you're doing with your consciousness. Its main goal is to keep your body alive. And with anxiety, sometimes it'll perceive a threat that's not there, but it's not giving that anxiety to you because you love feeling anxiety. That's just straight up not true for anybody who has an anxiety disorder. And shit can just go wrong with all types of organs. Your brain doesn't behave like a social media algorithm and only giving you the things that you've shown an interest in. Your brain is gonna try to give you every tool in its belt to keep you alive, even if it means having a weed-induced panic attack in a Taco Bell bathroom at 3 a.m.
So what you need to learn is actually to show the brain that you don't care about the anxiety anymore, which means we're making it inactive by making something else active. And what it is that we make active? We make active what we want to spend our time on in life. We make active us living our lives with actions. And we're doing that by putting our focus moment to moment on the actions.
Holy moly, talk about word salad. God. I know Dr. Amen could get a bit word salady in his videos, but if he was a word salad chef, this dude's a fucking Gordon Ramsay.
I'm shitting myself.
He says the word actions so many times in this 5-minute long video to the point where it's like kinda hard to comprehend like what he means each time he says the word because he uses it in so many contexts. It's just used so repetitively that honestly confuses the main point that he's trying to make, which is if you just focus on the things that you do like doing, eventually your anxiety will go away. Again, that's not fucking true. That's quite literally the exact same thing as telling a depressed person, hey, just cheer up. If you have excessive anxiety, something is gone awry with your brain and you need support to fix it. It's not something you can just willpower away by focusing on other things. Of course, distractions can be helpful if you're like sensing a panic attack coming on. I know, for example, I like to immediately go to a quiet place, throw on some music, bang my head to some Kesha, and then we're good to go. But it's not like just thinking about anxiety less will cause you less anxiety. Chances are you're not getting anxiety from the anxiety. You're getting anxiety from a completely other situation. For example, I have a lot of anxiety that I don't lock the doors or that I left the stove on. It was actually pretty bad. I was on the verge of a panic attack and my coworker, bless her heart, literally drove me back to my place in the middle of the workday so that I could check that my stove was off. Like, that's how bad it can get sometimes. And when that happens, it's great that, you know, you have people like that in your life to support you. And realizing that fact can be a huge weight off of your shoulders and can, in fact, lead to less anxiety. But you don't get less anxiety by just being like, I'm gonna think about anxiety less. No, it's a step-by-step process with a lot of things that have to happen in not necessarily a sequential order, but there's a lot of steps to solving the problem of overwhelming anxiety. To me, this is a gross oversimplification of a topic that ends up feeling 10 times more complex with how long and wordy this video is. This is just a fundamental misunderstanding of what anxiety is and how it works.
And the brain will actually give you all kinds of thoughts, all kinds of emotions that it knows you react to. Which means it will give you actually thoughts that you believe, and it will give you emotions that you usually react to.
Your brain is not some little brother like making an annoying high-pitched screech to get a reaction out of you. Again, your brain is trying to keep you alive. I don't know how many times I can say that in this video, but Star says the same thing over and over again. So forgive me if this section of the video feels cyclical. I'm just putting down what I'm picking up.
Let's get into self-help addiction and find some more techniques and tricks. And then the gurus and the self-help coaches cashing out on you because they're giving you another trick, another technique.
Now, he's not entirely wrong here. Why do you think I'm making this video? It's because the self-help industry has a lot of bad actors that want to profit off of your poor mental health with one easy trick. Doctors hate him. Oh wait, my guy, you are literally saying that my anxiety can be cured with this one simple thing. You are the self-help guru that you were talking about. I don't understand why the dissonance doesn't occur to him.
But really what you need to do is have the anxiety, not react to it, and move forward mindfully, doing all the things that you would do if you didn't have anxiety.
Okay, so yeah, it's literally just pretend you don't have anxiety until you don't feel it anymore. And that's just not realistic. Because as much as you're saying you shouldn't be suppressing your emotions, you're quite literally advocating for people to suppress their emotions. To just go day by day as if they don't have this debilitating mental illness.
This is the exact same practice as going to the gym. It's a practice. It takes time. It's the same as if you go to the gym on the first date and you're overweight and you have diabetes. You're like, oh, I just want to have an 8-pack. I just want to be buff. The person trying to looks at you like, what the fuck? You know logically that it takes time to build muscles. The same it takes time to build that emotional fitness muscle by you being okay with the wrong feelings and building the bigger space for those feeling weights. Over time, you're going to be so emotionally fit that the same anxiety that you have right now is going to be so small because you're lifting like 100 pounds, 200 pounds.
Now, I definitely cut down this section of the video because holy shit, it just goes on for so long. Like, it doesn't exactly take a genius to know the analogy of, like, you know, strengthening your brain is just like strengthening any other muscle. Like, you could just say that sentence and be done with it. But no, he turns it into like a full minute of cyclical, repetitive, monotonous, just crap.
All these therapists, psychologists, and mental health industry teaching you wrong things, and they're like, oh no, but I have a certificate, I must be right. No, they never changed their brain. I changed my brain. Look for the people who changed their brain on the internet, the people who recovered from OCD, BPD, ADHD, the people who are actually doing things, living their lives.
Okay, so there is a very clear mistrust of anything to do with academia or anything clinical, and right now we're stuck with the exact opposite problem that we had with Dr. Amen. Everything is like supernatural and like not studied, and you should just be able to do everything with your brain and your brain alone. There's like a good middle ground that exists somewhere. These are people that actually studied the condition that I'm suffering with. I'm going to listen to their advice about how to cope with it, and these are the things that I need to work on in order to improve my mental health. Both sentences can exist and should exist.
You don't want to go to people who just regurgitated enough information to pass their midterms and then have a fucking paper on the wall that the state says, oh yeah, they're able to transform your life. Even though they cannot even tell you about the language of the brain or cognitive diffusion, etc.
Yeah, because there's no way in hell that somebody could ever be passionate about a subject like mental health. No way somebody would want to be, like, proficient enough at studying it that they could actually make a difference in the lives of people and, like, be a licensed doctor. There are plenty of shitty therapists and psychiatrists in the world, but discounting every single one because you hate the institution of academics, it's just not a valid reason.
If what I was just teaching you makes a lot of sense to you, that the brain is like an algorithm and what you engage with, you get more of. Go to the link in my bio and get my How to Build Emotional Fitness book.
Yeah, don't you just hate all of these bad actors and terrible, terrible people only wanting to make a buck off of your mental health in the self-help industry? Anyway, you can avoid all of that if you just buy my book right here.
You learn all the tools, all the practices. You see beautiful little fun animations, how the brain actually works.
You mean like diagrams? The kind they use in textbooks? Huh? Okay, so that was a bit of a trip. I feel like that was a very nice and tidy introduction to Star here. Now, obviously, one of the first things that you're gonna notice about the video is how long-winded they are. Like, that was 5 minutes of the same piece of advice over and over again. If you have anxiety, just stop. Now, of course, his advice is exactly the thing that I've been talking about this video, the law of attraction. If you only focus on the things that bring you joy in life, eventually you won't have any negative feelings left. And that is just not true in the slightest. Now, for the rest of the videos that I'm about to show you, forgive me for skipping around them a little bit, but like, they get so long-winded, and I feel like I'm not going to be able to effectively keep us on track if I don't cut it for time. Now, in this video, he elaborates on why nervous system regulation is a bad thing, and surprise, surprise, it's the exact same advice that we just watched.
Nervous system regulation is such a scam in the self-help and mental health industry, and I explain you why. Once you learn from some teacher that you have to regulate your nervous system, you add an additional fear that whenever you have stress, your nervous system is out of balance and now you have to do something to regulate it.
For someone who says that simple language is one of the best tools that you can have for mental health, he's sure overcomplicating this. Yeah, if you're feeling anxious, try to do something that will calm you down. It's that simple. It's literally that simple.
What happens then is you will develop a checking compulsion, which means you will check throughout the day how your nervous system is, which will teach your brain to give you more worries about your nervous system, more thoughts that, no, you cannot have this stress, and then you have this reaction. Watch it. This will often turn into a checking compulsion, which means you will check throughout the day the status of your nervous system. A checking compulsion will teach your brain that you love checking, because with your focus, you show throughout the day that whenever stress comes up, you're like, no, okay, I have to regulate my nervous system. Your brain's like, oh, you love engaging with this, because your brain only cares about what you're engaging with your focus.
Typically, if you struggle with an anxiety disorder, you will know when you're anxious because you will feel anxiety. Again, he's massively overcomplicating this for a guy that says he likes to put things in simple terms. It basically just keeps going on and on and on about The exact same points that we just saw him hammer home, except for somehow even longer. This video is 6 minutes and 25 seconds long. I don't know how he doesn't get bored of talking to himself. And it gets so overcomplicated and messy just because of the sheer length that we just lose sight of the point that he's trying to make, even though it's the same advice over and over again. Law of attraction. Now, we've got 2 more videos before we finally move on to one more topic that Star tends to talk about a lot. First off, we need to see his guide on how to get rid of intrusive thoughts.
How to get rid of intrusive thoughts, speed run in 1 minute. Intrusive thoughts come inside of your head. Short answer, if you are trying to get rid of intrusive thoughts, you will always have intrusive thoughts because your brain only cares about engagement.
I'm not thinking about all of my teeth falling out right now because I'm actively avoiding trying to think about my teeth falling out. It's just a very strange, scary thought that was put in my head because of my mental illness.
You're trying to get rid of intrusive thoughts that are coming in, you're engaging with them, which teaches the brain that you want more of it.
Your brain is not a fucking TikTok algorithm. Your brain is trying its best to cope with what it's got to keep you alive.
Brain doesn't know if you like them or not. The brain only knows if you engage with them. And if you engage with them, the brain's like, oh, you love playing with them, like a dog playing with a toy. Let me give you more of them.
Literally just stop having them and do something else. The definition of an intrusive thought is that it's intruding in your life when you're already doing something. Chances are, if I get an intrusive thought, like my teeth falling out or like a really gory scene playing out in my brain, usually I'm already just doing an activity that I normally do, like editing or playing video games or something like that. Focusing on something else isn't going to help because I'm already doing something else when the intrusive thought occurs.
You need to, instead of putting your focus on trying to fix them or get rid of them, put your focus on something else, aka the valued actions. When you put your focus on the valued actions, the brain's not gonna like it because he thinks you're running into danger because you're so used to engaging with intrusive thoughts.
If you engage with something else more often, why would your brain have this spiteful reaction and try to give you even more intrusive thoughts? It's just such a contradictory piece of advice.
You gotta be like, that's okay, I don't care, I don't make the measure of success the thoughts. I'm continuously focusing on the valued actions in the present moment. Over time, if you do this, or if you take up territory and you take up more time with it, over time, the brain is going to drop the intrusive thoughts and you're going to get over them, period.
No, you will not get over them, period. You can lessen them, you can have less strong reactions to them by coping with them emotionally, but you are not going to get rid of intrusive thoughts if you have OCD. Now, he has another video specifically about trauma that I saved, but I don't even know if it's worth watching at this point. I feel like I would be wasting your guys' time because he says the exact same points that he has in the last, how many, 3 videos that we've watched? It feels like 7. He did advertise his book again at the end though, so I feel like this is as good of a time as any to talk about his books and his websites and socials and all of that. So his book is apparently $40 goddamn normally. It's called How to Build Emotional Fitness by Star Jesse Taylor, featuring stolen clip art of a forest, a brain lifting weights, a heart lifting weights, and an alien for some reason that's flying on an asteroid saying alien will teach humans. Color me intrigued, but unfortunately, if the videos of him saying the same thing over and over again are anything to go off of, I would not want to pick up this book. What you're probably thinking, oh Kari, didn't you say you read a book for this project? I did. We're gonna talk about it in the next part. Shut the fuck up. Give me 2 seconds. Frankly, I found a book that much better aligns with the video thematically. Also, I didn't want to give this guy $30. You'll see why in a couple of seconds. Now, apparently this book is the digital copy that you'll be able to read in full color from your devices. So it's an ebook. It's $30 for an ebook. He also uses the description to describe every single chapter in the book, and it's apparently only 129 pages long. Couple that with a apparently the diagrams that he said exist in the book, this shit's not gonna be a very long read. Which again, is surprising when you compare that with the quality of his videos. So overall, I just think this book is best a stone left unturned, because I feel like we can glean a lot of information from his TikToks already. I also tried clicking on basically every single social link of his. The only thing that I found properly linked was his YouTube page, which has even longer videos about the exact same subjects. If we look at his YouTube, somehow he uses the same thumbnail face less often than Sniper Wolf, but it's still a lot, and it's kind of funny to like look at all of these and imagine them happening to this guy at the exact same time. And there's this one video that says, "The psychology of being a hyper-successful man," and the thumbnail reads, "Andrew Tate's therapist."
I want to tell you that I support Andrew Tate with all my heart. He has helped more people to practically improve their mental health than any other person in history.
Now something tells me that this guy is not Andrew Tate's therapist. Something tells me that Andrew Tate doesn't really want a therapist.
If you're the kind of person who feels like they need therapy, you need someone to talk to make me feel better. Do you know what you are? You're useless.
God, fucking Andrew Tate. It seems like, sorry, side note, doesn't it seem like every single fucking week he gets like charged with human trafficking? Why has nothing happened yet? This video is also 3 goddamn hours long, and I am sorry you guys, but this is just a waste of my and your time. But now that we know who Star chooses to affiliate himself with, I feel like this is a good transition into the next subject that he talks about, which is relationship advice. Would you believe me if this also devolved into incel shit? God, I'm out of surprises.
A toxic female is to be recognized by her intention to unplug you of all emotional connections to any of your loved ones. So that toxic female has the highest control over you.
Now, that isn't entirely wrong. If you're in a relationship with a toxic person, and they try to do things like isolate you from your support network, it can be incredibly manipulative and a huge red flag. However, he chooses to immediately go for very, very gendered language and will not stop saying the word female. Like, I want to fucking, every time he says the word toxic female, I just like recoil a little bit. Now you might be thinking, oh, women are just so toxic. All they want to do is emotionally manipulate you and play with your heart. Women get fucking murdered like all the time. Domestic violence is like such a huge, huge issue. To me, it's kind of ridiculous to play this gendered card of, oh, women are so emotionally abusive compared to men because they're more emotional. It's just so goddamn sexist and unnecessary.
The reason for that is she feels threatened by those relationships. Her fear is a fear of abandonment, and she's coping with that fear by trying to reach for safety, by trying to disconnect you from your connections.
Again, this is something that a lot of toxic people do, and something that should definitely be looked out for if you're entering a relationship. Again, though, this isn't a gendered thing. Anybody can be toxic.
The only thing that toxic female cares about is her emotional relief. To her, the relationship is an emotional addiction. It's not love. This female will also test you how emotional reactive you still are to her. She will start illogical fights just to see how emotionally attached you still are.
Once again, getting a rise out of somebody is something that a toxic partner can do, but it's not because women specifically are more emotional than men. I already watched one Hank Green video about this. I'm not watching another.
Don't react emotionally. Understand the game and leave that person. She's not good for you. There is no future because she doesn't care about your well-being. The only thing she cares about is that emotional addiction. And as soon as that emotional addiction shifts to another person, she will jump over there with no regrets. And she will retroactively, listen to me now.
I have been listening. You won't stop talking.
Retroactively change her story to get rid of the feeling of guilt, so she doesn't feel guilty for treating you that way, and she will find ways to blame you as a narcissist or a gaslighter to fix her own feelings, because all she cares about is her feelings.
Now, if I had to pick one word that this video screams from the rooftops, it's projection. Like, the example that he gives is so specific and pointed about toxic women will try to rewrite history and call you a manipulative and a narcissist and a gaslighter. And it's just like, no, normally when you break up with someone, if you had a healthy relationship, they won't tend to call you those things. But internalizing that experience to the extent where you think, oh, this is mainly a gendered problem is so unhealthy and dangerous. It leads you further and further down this rabbit hole of incel shit until eventually you reach the conclusion of this next video that we're about to watch, which is women asking for emotional availability is a psyop. Now, this video is actually like one of the most insanely hard to follow videos from Star. For one particular reason, I'm gonna let you guess what that reason could be. I'll play the first 5 seconds and you write down in the comments what you think the problem is.
A girl asking for more emotional availability from you must be the biggest psyop in modern history.
I think we might have found our problem. Why did he feel the need to edit this video in this way, where the speed is just constantly shifting up and down and up and down? It just makes it so hard to focus on anything else that he's saying in the video. Part of me goes, okay, maybe this is on purpose to distract from how ridiculous of a concept this video is.
Just doesn't like the uncertainty
of not knowing how much you like her.
And uses any manipulation technique in the world to make sure
you are emotionally attached.
The paradox is the more you open up and the more safety and control you give her, the less
attracted she is over time.
This is literally high school shit. Oh, you have to pretend that you're not interested. That way she'll actually be interested in you. No, that's just not how healthy people have relationships. You find someone that you really like spending time with and you spend enough time together until like a baby pops out or something. I'm not sure. I don't know what happens in straight relationships. I'm a fag.
But if you lose the mystery
and she has all the story filled out, you're not as interesting anymore.
So the paradox is to give her more what she wants, which is safety and control, actually makes her less
attracted to you.
But this doesn't apply to all girls, only the ones who need
emotional entertainment to be attracted, because they live
on the highs and the lows of the relationship, the uncertainty.
But why are you emphasizing that women are the only ones who could possibly want that emotional entertainment? Overall, just a really terrible sexist take that doesn't do anything to actually address the issue of abuse. I have one more video to show that's on this topic of incel shit. And man, if these other two videos didn't scream projection, this one will for sure make up your mind.
Jared, I'm breaking up with you!
Why?
You don't tend to my emotions enough, and you don't do the things I ask you to do, so you're a narcissist!
Yeah, so this video is a little bit different in that it's a skit that he put together about a fictional, highly toxic girlfriend and relatively emotionally stable boyfriend.
Wait, so because I do the things I value and you want me to change because you want me to do the things that you want and value, I'm a narcissist? Now you gaslighting me!
Oh my god, dude, this is so hard to fucking take seriously. Generally, people don't call others a narcissist out of nowhere. It's something that builds over time. You have to work through a lot of shit to even get to the point that you recognize that you were emotionally abused sometimes.
Sandra, do you know what gaslighting is? If you're so smart, you can explain it! Gaslighting means to twist someone's sense of reality. Now you mansplaining me!
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. This is just like such a shower argument. Now you might be saying, Okari, it's a comedy skit. It's literally supposed to exaggerate on purpose. But the way this is presented feels so pointed that I don't think this could possibly come from a place of comedy. This has to come from a place of genuinely being like, oh, women are so emotionally manipulative.
You know what? I think it's a great idea if we break up. I don't think we have the same values anymore. No, Jared, this was not planned like this. You were supposed to be heartbroken, which would have shown my sense of ego that you're not good enough for me, which would have made me easily move on, because I know you're still not over me. Kendra, you know you just talked out loud. I'm gonna tell all my friends that you are a narcissist and a gaslighter!
So this is the second time he brings up the example of a woman telling all of her friends that the partner she was with is a gaslighter and emotionally abusive. And it's just like, Star, why do you keep honing in on this example? I'm afraid the call is coming from inside of the house.
Bye, Kendra.
I'm a Leo and you're a Capricorn. Our star signs were never matching anyway.
Oh, silly women and their illogical star signs. Anyway, I'm gonna go eat 50 pounds of raw beef and then hop in a tractor to drive under the influence. Now, the final video from Star that I'd like to show you is a bit of a strange one. One might argue that it would have been better to place this video by the section where I was talking about his book and all of his online stuff. And that's because this video consists of an advertisement for his course and a bunch of testimonials of people who were helped by his counseling. However, there's something really surprising about the testimonials to me that I'd like you to witness in real time.
Most therapists and psychologists only regurgitate information that they learned in universities. They never actually changed their own mental health.
I'll say it. Why is he using AI anime boys? Oh my god, this is actually such a big brain move. He made them AI because they're fake and superficial about the ways they want to help you. Not like me, I'm actually trying to help people. Damn, I could really go for $40 right now.
They never changed their brain. How do I know? Because I, unlike most therapists and psychologists, changed my brain practically. I used to let my patterns, my trauma patterns, my emotional addictions, my thoughts dictate my life.
This is such a strange combo of like AI generation and then actual clip art that he ripped like he did for his book cover earlier. You might be wondering why I'm focusing on the visuals so much. It's because he's saying the same thing over and over again. Let's skip a little bit and finally get to the testimonials.
Everything's different. I'm healthier than I've ever been physically, mentally, emotionally. I have wonderful relationships in my life. I feel happy. Star has genuinely changed every aspect of my life. And maybe I shouldn't say Star, but these teachings are life-changing.
My name is Annabelle. I did STARS coaching. And a fun fact is that I did quite some years of therapy, like 6 or 7 years. The way that STAR can explain things and give you very practical tools for me was a game changer. He's very honest. If you like his video, if you like his content, I'm telling you the coaching is genuinely even better.
I did not like his videos in the first place. I imagine his videos consist of untold nightmares that I don't feel like facing right now.
I know we've only been working for a month, but I can honestly see I've made a huge progress from our first
It's been 6 months and it's just been literally life-changing. When I met you, I was completely falling apart for real. I was in a toxic relationship. I worked my way out of that relationship and now I'm in such a much better place. I've stopped drinking now also, which has really improved my life. I'm doing mindfulness and meditation. Thank you so much.
Okay, so it's 2 a.m. I'm up late editing this literally 2 months after I've recorded this segment, but there's something about this that I missed when I was recording. During this testimonial of this lady in the pink shirt, at the very end, she says, "Thank you very much." But she's very clearly saying that to whoever's at the restaurant that she's with. She's very clearly not saying it to Star. And I just think that's the funniest thing in the fucking world, dude. I can't believe I didn't catch that.
God, all of these testimonials feel like they were taken at gunpoint. All right, so I need you to put on your detective glasses for a second and think, what is the commonality between all of these testimonials? That's right, they're all women, which is the most surprising thing in the world to me. Have they not seen what this guy thinks about women and dating and all of that? How do you get to the point where you're obsessed with this guy's videos and you don't see how terribly sexist he can be? This is the one mystery I haven't been able to solve. Why are all of his testimonials women? Just the language that he uses is very coded to be an alpha male and all of that. Tell me if you have any theories in the comments, because I'd genuinely like to hear. And then finally, to top these testimonials off, we get a bunch of MLM language. Things like, oh, this changed my life, and it can change yours too.
If you finally want to change your life with tools that actually work and not some nonsense that just sounds good.
This stuff actually works. This isn't your granddaddy's therapy.
After you signed up, you and me will have an onboarding call that is included to talk about your challenges and your goals.
Once again, he's showing footage of these onboarding calls that he does for his coaching. They're both women. How does he get this many women signing up for his classes?
My question that I asked, I've been looking for the answer for, I'm telling you, years. I've asked so many coaches and therapists. No one really could give me an answer. I never understood it until you just said it in one sentence. And now I'm like, are you serious?
Sorry, you're telling me that Star used one sentence? Are you sure he didn't force like 15 other sentences in that 5-minute period? Now, overall, I think Star really exemplifies a lot of problems that I have with the self-help industry. Gurus that want to make a quick buck, surface level advice that doesn't really mean anything, restringing words together in more and more complicated ways until you're just kind of left there in a daze, nodding silently. And finally, the law of attraction being so prevalent in his content that if you just focus on the things that make you feel good, it's gonna work and you'll feel happier, when that's not the case at all. He very much tries to oversimplify mental health to a gross extent. Like I said with Dr. Amen, mental health is not a one-size-fits-all solution. There's a wide variety of ways to help with things like anxiety and OCD, but the one option that is generally out of reach for most people is just be happy. Because if you tell someone to just be happy, surprise, surprise, they don't exactly have the results of being happy, they will tend to internalize that. If they go too far down this rabbit hole of the law of attraction, they'll internalize that the problem is with them, and they are the reason that their mental health issues persist. Look at me. I'm projecting so hard, I should make a skit of my own. Taking this all-natural, your brain is the only thing that you'll ever need approach to mental health is just as dangerous, if not more so, than, oh, just trust this clinician who definitely doesn't have any weird beliefs about him. Maybe the problem isn't with the self-help industry. Maybe the problem is with TikTok. So what if I tried to heal my brain in the old-fashioned way with a good old self-help book? No more chaotic filters, no more websites advertising supplements, just pure and simple print on paper. Now, I do want to give a little bit of context before I start part 3 entirely. Now, it's definitely not a surprise if you've made it this far into the video, but I have a very personal bias and bone to pick with the law of attraction. The book that I'm about to review in part 3 was something that was given to me to try to help with my struggling mental health as a teenager. The adults in my life read the book and said that it solved a lot of problems for them. So they saw me mentally struggling and thought, hey, maybe we should get this kid to read the book too. Maybe she'll feel better. But instead, I internalized some of the most unhealthy attitudes that I've ever had to deprogram out of my brain. And by that, I mainly mean an overwhelming sense of guilt for the law of attraction not working for me. So in order to unpack why I'm still carrying this guilt over all of these years, I thought it would be a good idea to review the book that started it all for me. So without further ado, here's my review of Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass. Okay, so before we get into the contents of this book, I'd like to say that I am not going to be reviewing this in a chronological order. Frankly, I think the best way to go about this is I have several categories that I want to nail a point on every single one, and so I've grouped the chapters into which category that I think that they belong to. We'll reach those parts of the discussion when we get to them. So the introduction of this book is really trying to sell, I know I made this joke earlier in the video, but it's really like the millennial boilerplate, this ain't your granddad's type of therapy book, and really just tries to sell how different and girl bossy it is. There's a passing comment in the introduction that I really think highlights the author's judgments that she reserves towards mentally ill people and how different people try to approach healing and getting better. She says, if I can save one person from taking their inner child on a play date, I'll have done my job. Obviously, this implies that certain types of self-help, therapy, counseling, whatever, carries some types of shame, which is very important to note given that the entire introduction is worded very much like an MLM post on Facebook. Eventually, I took my credit card debt to unthinkable heights by forking over more money than I'd paid for all my janky cars put together and hired my first coach. Within the first 6 months, I tripled my income with an online business that I created around coaching writers. This is a fucking MLM. It's a fucking pitch for MLMs. I'm sure you guys could see this coming from... Oh, fuck. Son of a bitch. Now, I'm sure this isn't a surprise in the video, so I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off right now. Obviously, Jen Sincero offers courses of her own. She offers a You Are a Badass DIY coaching program, and also a course on how to write your own nonfiction book. So this is why I think the wording of, if I can save one person from taking their inner child on a play date, it's obviously meant to put down traditional therapy options. Because she has shit that she wants to sell you. And money is just intertwined all throughout this book in a way that's like pretty impossible to separate and therefore just focus only on the advice. So get ready, we're gonna be talking a lot of fucking lot about money. So of course, what's the easiest thing that you can sell to someone without having like professional medical experience? Say it with me now, the law of attraction. So chapter 1, we begin with a story about the time that Jen got sexually harassed in a mattress store. Basically what was happening is Jen was really fucking broke and needed a new mattress, so she finally had a day where she like wasn't working, could finally go mattress shopping. And when she did, the guy who was selling her a mattress was kind of being a total creep about it. And when she was like testing the beds, he like hopped in them with her and went, "Oh, I have pains in my feet too. Isn't it so nice to just relax in bed like this?" Just being a total fucking weirdo. So what Jen does is excuse herself to go to the washroom or something and then books it. Now the average person's reaction to that situation happening would be like, "Holy fuck, that was scary. What a goddamn creep. Maybe I should like tell the store owner about this or something." But that was not Jen's takeaway. Instead, she starts like fully victim blaming herself, saying that it's her fault if she stays fucked up and docile for the rest of her life. When in reality, she was navigating a dangerous situation. Men are fucking unpredictable in that way. So in my opinion, I don't think Jen did anything that necessarily requires more reflection, and I especially don't think that relates to the law of attraction. And it didn't happen in the first place because you were fucked up and docile. It happened in the first place because the guy was a fucking creep. So chapter 2, she goes into a little bit more detail with like the specifics of the law of attraction, and also says that you should keep your heart open to God. So Jen gets into the specifics and describes the law of attraction as tapping into source energy to realize her full potential. If you think positive, be positive. The universe knows what vibrations you're putting out, and you can't fool the universe. This line did like a fucking decade of damage to my brain, because although I wasn't like raised religious or anything, I was still extremely concerned that like life itself would know if I did something bad. And it basically gave me a weird flavor of religious trauma without the religion, where I always feel like someone's watching me. I always feel like I need to be on my best behavior or else. It's a very strange thing that I can relate to people with that kind of religious trauma, but I was raised in an atheist household. And I guess that's because this chapter did say, hey, stay open to the idea of like a god. Jen does cover her ass a little bit in this section and says that she thinks that the word God is a little bit loaded. She prefers to say things like the universe or source energy or vibrations, that kind of thing. She elaborates even further in the next chapter by saying, if you need catastrophe to make changes in your life, that can be cosmically arranged. Adding more struggle to a person who's already suffering from poor mental health, it's not gonna like lead them to their breakthrough like she seems to suggest in this chapter. While yeah, that can be a motivating factor for a lot of people, if someone is already mentally ill, chances are adding another catastrophe to that mental illness isn't gonna fucking help them. And it's not like they are begging for catastrophe by being mentally ill in the first place. But not according to Jen. Oh no. In fact, she defines these sorts of limiting beliefs as the big snooze or BS. Can you tell this was written by someone from Gen X? She describes a story about one of her clients who's trying to start his own client business of like self-help guru bullshit. He has basically like the worst fucking week of his life. Some shit goes wrong with a couple clients, he gets hit by a goddamn bus, and Jen takes this opportunity to brag about how her client still managed to turn his life around from these sets of circumstances. Which is like, oh, Jen, how on earth is that your takeaway from this situation? That's such a weird thing to center yourself in that conversation. Now, what Jen doesn't seem to realize is that in order for that to work in any kind of context, you'd have to ignore the privilege that Jen would receive from being a straight white woman. Chapter 6, she says a very revealing line about how she thinks about privilege. It's like we're born with a big bag of money, more than enough to fund any dream of ours, and instead of following our instincts and our hearts, we invest in what other people believe we should invest in. Some people invest in believing they're too old to go out clubbing when they love nothing more than the boogie. Some invest in being tough and too cool for school when all they want is love and connection. Some invest in being ashamed of their sexuality instead of being their gloriously gay selves. Again, I need to emphasize this book was written by a straight white woman. No, Jen, not all of us are born with the same big bag of money. It's basically universal that some people are born with bigger bags of money than others, both literally and figuratively. Societal issues like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, any kind of bigotry, basically. If someone is a part of like one of these afflicted groups of people and they end up believing in like some sort of self-hatred related to bigotry, it's not their fault for investing their time and energy into those thoughts. It's not as simple as letting go of false beliefs, as she puts it. Sometimes with this metaphorical bag of money, you need to invest in some harmful ideas about yourself in order to stay safe. I mean, think about like every conservative family with a gay kid or something. Or if like a person of color goes to a predominantly white school. If someone has like a small bag of money, aka a poor mental health, in addition to living in a society that ridicules them, they aren't really gonna have a whole lot of money to invest in new ideas such as self-love, acceptance, LGBTQ rights, black liberation, all of these big complex ideas when they already spent what little they had in the society that treats them poorly. It's not like you can rip that money right back and then put it to the thing you want. Once it's spent, it's kind of gone, and you have to find ways to get more money in order to invest. Since we're on a hot streak, Jen decides to exemplify her privilege even more by describing certain ways that you can make yourself happier. She includes examples of being completely financially irresponsible, like quitting your job, getting a pair of shoes, getting a trip to Costa Rica, just chasing happiness in any way, shape, or form that you can. However, here in chapter 6, we finally get some actionable advice about what to do if you don't love yourself and how to be kinder to yourself, which is basically just like day by day work on changing the language about yourself in your head. Which, that's fair advice, but it's also advice I could get for free from so many different fucking people. The next example of Jen's privilege that she completely overlooks is the time that she was in a band called Crotch. Basically, it was her friend, and her brother all flying by the seat of their pants, no fucking idea what they were doing, and they just wanted to see what they could get away with. Her words. As she brags about it being like super successful, they have like a deal with Columbia Records in the works, they do shows. She completely glosses over the fact that at this point in the 90s, she fucking worked for Epic Records. Of course she had the connections and tools to make her band successful. That's not law of attraction. That's you being dealt a really fucking good hand and you playing it. Later in the book, she describes a story about how she basically conned her way into a festival management position. And it says it's not the lack of experience, but a lack of determination that holds us back. Jen, you worked in marketing at Epic Records. You had the experience necessary to coordinate a festival. Oh my God. I'm going fucking insane, dude. I'm fucking losing it. The only good advice from this section of the story is that it's better to just make something now and clean it up later, rather than having to start perfect with absolutely everything you do. That's very good. That's actionable advice. But the next privilege on our docket is the fact that she seems to be neurotypical. Chapter 19, she says, "Don't be overwhelmed. Time is an illusion, and if you need the time, you will make the time." She says, and I quote, "We can do anything for 60 minutes. Just make everything in chunks." Jen, There are so many goddamn people with ADHD that would like to have a word with you right now. Here she also recommends hiring a coach in order to work on your time management. It's basically her end-all solution for anything you might be struggling with. Just, hire a coach, spend money. You know you have a big bag of money, right? Oh my god, you didn't get your big bag of money? You fucking suck. So yeah, with this whole coach hiring discussion, she says that if you can't afford one, you just need to look at the situation differently because help is all around us. She recommends selling something or hiring someone for only like 30 minutes a week at first. Jen, that's why I bought this fucking book. And she concludes the chapter by saying, time isn't a luxury for the wealthy, but it's for the people who actively make time for it. And again, things like systemic poverty, for example, require people to work their fucking ass off constantly. Where do you expect someone that works 50 hours a week just to put food on the fucking table and pay the water bill to make time for themselves? Chapter 23, she uses Henry Ford as an example for sticking with the decision and going with it no matter what. Henry Ford wanted to create his first V8 motor, which has an engine with 8 cylinders cast in one block. I have no idea what that means, as we've established earlier. Mentally ill puppy brain. And then she says, and I quote, but apparently it was a tall order because his team of engineers was like, bitch, you crazy. This is like one of the most unprofessionally written books I've ever read in my life. The way that she describes the stories, Henry Ford keeps forcing the employees to make this V8 engine. The employees keep coming back saying, this is impossible, we can't do it, until one of the scientists finally has a breakthrough. And Jen ends the story by saying, see, Henry Ford wanted something bad enough, he got it, even though everyone around him told him it was impossible. Henry Ford was a capitalist that exploited his workers to get something that was pretty unreasonable at that time. It's like how we have insanely fast delivery times now because Amazon drivers piss in bottles. She then lists a bunch of celebrities that repeatedly failed until they finally got into the career that they wanted. Notable ones include Michael Jordan, Steven Spielberg, Thomas Edison, and here she finally has like one nugget of good advice, which is the only failure is quitting, everything else is just gathering information. Honestly, fair point. I don't have any problems with that. But it's just all wrapped up in this capitalist privilege that she never seems to acknowledge throughout the book. Instead, it just attributes it to the law of attraction, and everybody can achieve this with the law of attraction. The only slight hints that we get at her feelings about the concept of privilege is how almost every other chapter in this book is about victim blaming. Chapter 15, she gets into the concept of forgiveness and what it means to forgive yourself and what it means to forgive others. It's basically interpreted as just let it go, have a positive outlook. She gives some very dangerous ideas about what the concept of forgiveness means. When I read this chapter as a kid, this really accelerated my ability to victim blame because this chapter could very easily be interpreted as ways to forgive abuse. One of the questions she literally asks you to ask yourself in the book is, what did I do to attract this to myself? If you're like me and you interpret that line very literally, yeah, it leads to some pretty fucked up ideas about what forgiving abuse means. It's just like forgiveness isn't something that you need in order to heal. Whether that's forgiving an abuser or someone that slighted you or yourself, you could still hold all of these people, including yourself, accountable for the things that they've done. Another quote that really fucking grinds my gears about this is, treat people like a blank slate over and over again. Such a goddamn dangerous piece of advice to give out willy-nilly, especially if someone who's reading this book, like myself, is suffering some type of abuse. Chapter 17, she finally brings up someone who had a life that was very unprivileged growing up, Ray Charles, and basically brings him up as like a blind black musician as an example of, other people had it worse and they still succeeded. Why can't you? She even says that she doesn't care that much about Ray Charles and his music. She just uses him as an example to get her ass in gear because he's a disenfranchised person. Another example that she gives about like giving yourself a kick in the ass is about the benefits of being depressed. The basic points she gives are people will check in on you, you'll get to be lazy, you have something to talk about, you get to stay in your comfort zone, and you get to have beer for breakfast. Tell me you haven't experienced depression without telling me you haven't experienced depression. Oh my fucking God. None of these things are benefits. These are all symptoms of depression. I don't think the hypothetical person that drinks beer for breakfast, like she mentions, drinks beer for breakfast because they like doing it. It's because it numbs the feelings of depression. Alcohol abuse is a symptom of that kind of thing. It's not manipulative in any way, shape, or form to have depression, to like get people to check on you. That's not how that fucking works. People will check in on you because they care about you as a loved one. In chapter 18, she describes some examples of how to make yourself get out of these modes of thinking, which basically boils down to spend money on a coach. Basically, most of this book is completely inaccessible because the advice she gives is hire a coach, which again, if you need to hire a coach, she has a certain link to the things that she offers. She also recommends to make a bet with someone who has absolutely no fucking mercy. Someone that'll hold you to whatever you said, no matter what. And just basically like threaten yourself with a huge amount of pressure in order to become disciplined. Piling more stress onto a mentally ill person does not help them at all. They just get more stressed and inundated with their mental health issues. Now, obviously, the biggest thing that's impossible to untangle from this web of a book is money. If it's not a step-by-step list of actions on how to speak more kindly to yourself, it's just spend money. So basically, Jen thinks that the law of attraction not only applies to your own feelings, but it applies to the concept of money. This woman thinks that money is fucking sentient. In chapter 24, she tells a particularly insane story where she was deciding between getting two types of cars, either this kind of rundown Hyundai, the more reasonable option of a car to buy because it's cheaper, it's got okay mileage on it, or the Audi that she wanted with like no mileage, brand new, pristine, right out of the factory. However, she couldn't fucking afford it. So she decides to take the most insane financial gamble ever and says that she bought the Audi because she wanted to become the kind of person that makes the money necessary to afford the Audi. What the fuck does that mean? What do you mean? Become the type of person that can afford an Audi. What qualities does that describe? She then says shortly after buying it, she immediately came up with an idea on how to afford it and does not describe her idea in the slightest. But after some digging and according to this video, which is also a really good breakdown of this book, check out this video by Savvy Writes Books. It's a wonderful, even longer breakdown of this book. And all of the terrible ideas that it introduces. Someone fucking bailed her out of her debt for this purchase. If you have privilege and you're in a tight spot, I don't think it's necessarily wrong to use it, but oh my God, the audacity to act like she came up with the idea on her own to pay for the Audi, it's just mind-boggling. If you need the money, get a loan, put it on a credit card, just figure out some way to make it, because if you want it bad enough, the money will come to you. Money is not energy. Money is not sentient. Money is a privilege. She also gives like another fucking spiel about MLM bullshit. I got to travel the world with my friends and experience life in ways I never have before, all thanks to this wonderful... To wrap up this section, Jen Sincero believes that if you can't make money, it's a limiting belief of yours and not capitalism systematically pushing you down. She says, you know how when you need a lot of money really fast for rent, you always manage to make it in time? Not everyone does, Jen. People are fucking homeless. She just recommends credit card debt so many goddamn times that it's actually like fucking concerning and dangerous to give that advice to a mentally ill person who bought this book. And with that, the book finally ends with a wishy-washy chapter about how to make money, which is just such a sad, pathetic whimper of a way for us to end things here. But to summarize, we introduced the law of attraction, went over the amount of privilege that you need to have in order for the law of attraction to work for you. She began victim blaming people who didn't have the law of attraction or had these limiting beliefs. And then finally we get into this MLM cult, money is energy type of thinking. This book fucked me up. I've been trying to think of a smart way to put it, but that's really the only thing that I can say about it. It fucked me up in ways that like I'm still processing to this day. I still victim blame myself when I'm unable to think my way out of a negative feeling or a bad situation. Like I said, there are some actionable steps in this book about like speaking more kindly to yourself, but at the end of the day, telling someone to spend more money is at the core of the self-help industry. Okay, so that's the end of You Are a Badass by Jensen Shero. What did we learn today? Obviously, we have had a very long talk today about the state of the self-help industry and what is currently wrong with it. If there's anything that I want to like completely impart as the main point of this miniseries, capitalism is at the center of it all. I know it feels a little bit like a cop-out, but it's true. This is a feeling that I've been dealing with for all of the time that I've been working on this video, which it's painfully ironic to constantly be faced with mental health issues and capitalism while making a video about mental health issues and capitalism. And frankly, I don't know how to make myself or you guys feel better about the current state of the world. Now, obviously, we can say don't give money to these chucklefucks that want to siphon every cent in your bank account for their help. But the bigger problem is how, obviously, capitalism causes people to have mental health issues in the first place that they aren't able to work through because they don't have the privilege of time or money or societal standing or anything. I really don't think that I can sum up anything better than we need to fight the system. The system that progresses environmental decline, the system that keeps poor people down, the system that fucking commits genocide. Take it day by day. All you can really do is try to be a little better than you were yesterday. And I think that treating people well and helping your loved ones that need it is the only way to rebuild this kind of sense of community. The concept of community, forming it and nourishing it is the best way to fight against this fascist capitalist uprising that we live in. Helping your friends and just being the best person that you can be. I know I ragged on the law of attraction a lot throughout this video, but that's not to say that you shouldn't be a good person and help your loved ones. It's just that if something bad happens to you, it's not always your fault. Society is designed in a way to keep oppressed people down. It's not going to help anything if you blame yourself for bad things that happen to you, when in reality, most types of struggle can be connected to some sort of oppression. And until all of these fucking dinosaurs die and we can, like, implement a new world order or whatever the fuck, kindness is the only thing that I can really think of that will make a difference in people's lives. And with that is about all the thoughts I had on this topic. Pretty short one, wasn't it? Seriously, thank you so much for watching this far and for this long. It really means just the world to me that while working on this mini-series, I received enough consistent support that I felt like motivated and that people wanted to see it. And I'm just really grateful that I had the opportunity and platform to talk about something that really gets to me personally. Genuinely so personal and traumatic for me. And that I had a lot of people that are willing to listen. So seriously, thank you so much for watching the entire thing. Now, I've got a couple other things in the works. I was thinking about getting back into streaming. You might want to keep an eye out for that. Definitely keep tabs on my community tab. I also have a Patreon where I have exclusive videos. And also, every single video in this miniseries was posted early on Patreon. So if I ever do like a huge project like this again, you'll be able to see all of the clips of it before anyone else does over there. You also get access to my Discord server. It's pretty chill. Do a lot of talking over there. Again, thank you so much for watching this whole thing. Stay safe, stay kind, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Mwah. Ruff.